I'm Melissa Muir. Welcome back for Tool Time Tuesday and another fun video. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make a very simple pair of earrings.
So the first thing we need to do is we need to take our sheet metal. This happens to be 26 gauge, which is about 0.4 millimeters. What I want to do is I want to set the roller gaps to whatever I'm texturing. In this case, I'm texturing with a piece of metal that's been etched from Roberta Pyle. You can find her on Facebook and online. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to open up my gap of my rollers. I'm going to close this down just to the point where it holds onto this. I do not want to do any kind of compression yet. So now I'm going to reverse this, pull it back out. And if we look, there is no impression on here yet. So we know that our gap is set exactly to the same depth as our texture plate and our piece that we're going to be texturing. Next thing I'm going to do is I just really always like to do this whenever I have these metal plates. Now this metal plate happens to be mild steel. My rollers are much harder than mild steel, so nothing should happen, but I always like to have some kind of protection there anyway. The next thing I'm going to do is put a padding on top of this. Now in this case I'm going to use some craft foam. However, there are other types of foam out there. This one happens to be a styrofoam. It's a little bit more dense, still pretty thin, but what it does is it really helps to push our metal into that pattern. So I'm going to just cut off a small piece here. I want it to be at least as wide as the piece that I'm texturing or that I'm covering up. So I'm just going to place this on top of that. Next, we're ready to go ahead and put this in our mill, but before I do that, I want to give just a slight turn, and that's going to help really compress this stack together. So with the added layers of our paper here on the back, as well as the foam, we should really get a good impression. So I'm going to feed this through the mill now. And if we look at our foam, you can see that it's totally compressed. We have a texture that's kind of come through on that, which is very, very good because it tells me that I've got a nice impression on my metal. And now if we look at the metal, you can see that we've got a nice pattern on this and a nice texture. The nice thing about this is it's going to pick up whatever pattern you have. Now it will also pick up the finish. So if you're working off of a matte finish item, then you're going to get a matte finish. You'll see that we've got some nice bright spots in here because it was polished. So now that we've rolled our pattern through, you can do a number of things. The first thing that I would do though is to cut out my shape. So in this case, I have my disc cutter and I'm going to use the round one for this pair of earrings. And there's also other disc cutters that you can use, ovals, lots of different shapes, teardrops, hearts, whatever. But in this case, like I said, I just want round. And I'm going to make this pair a little bit smaller, and then I'm also going to hang a larger circle from it. So I want a smaller one, maybe we'll try the 3/8 inch here. And anytime you're doing anything with the disc cutter, you always want to shim on the opposite side with something that has the same thickness. So I've got that into position, find my 3/8 inch punch, got that now, put it in here, and we're going to strike it through. Because this is so thin, it shouldn't take a whole lot. And I'm going to do a second. And we'll strike that one through. Now, like I said, I'm going to do this where it's kind of a dangle. So I've got the one that's going to be the top piece, and now I'm going to do the lower part of this. So let's say we want to go maybe 5/8 inch. I'll move my shim around. And I was not hitting very hard because I just didn't want to punch it all the way down. Let's move that in. And there are my 4 pieces. So when I'm done, it's going to look kind of like this. Now to add a little bit of visual interest, I'm going to be dapping these just to give them a little bit of a different shape. So these are really hard right now because they've gone through the rolling mill. So what I'm going to do is anneal these. So I'm just going to come in and just kind of kiss this with my torch a little bit. You want to see kind of that little flash of where the oxides kind of clear away. So this takes very, very, very little heat because this metal is so thin. So be very cautious about overheating. So you'll notice I kind of come in and I move out, come in and move out. And that is all it's going to take. So next thing I need to do is quench these and pickle them, and then we're ready for the next step. So now we have all 4 of the discs cut out. They've been annealed, they've been pickled, and on the 2 larger ones I've already punched a couple of holes. And what I'm going to do is punch some holes on these smaller ones. Now I'm going to be dapping these, which means I'm going to give them a domed shape. And typically I would wait to punch the hole, but these holes are going to be so small that it's really not a big issue, and they will distort a little bit, and again, that's okay for this particular piece. It's not going to hurt us at all. The hole is so that I can join the 2 pieces together with a jump ring like so. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my dapping bunch and block. I've already identified which punch fits well with the divot that I'm going to be using on this. Now here, I like to use something to kind of help pad this because I'm going to be taking my pattern and facing it face down. I don't want that pattern to be knocked out when I take a steel punch and punch it up against a steel block. So I want to be able to face that face down because in this case I want it to kind of bubble out, but I want to protect that pattern. So I'm just going to take some of that craft foam that we used when we were texturing, not the part that's already been textured, so you want to have some good padding there. Another thing that you can use is a piece of leather, just a nice thin piece of leather. So I'm just going to take that punch and I'm going to just kind of bring it in and move it around a little bit and double check your shape to see what you've got. And now I've got this beautiful little dome, and that is exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to repeat that for all 4 pieces. Now in my case, I'm actually going to dome them in opposite directions. So the small ones are going to kind of bubble out, whereas the larger ones are going to bubble inwards. So we have both concave and convex that we're dealing with. These are the convex where we've got that outside. And now I'm going to do my concave ones. Obviously, they are not going to fit into this hole or divot, so I want to find one that's a little bit more. Now, I don't want it to be the exact same size. I want it to be larger, and the reason I want it to be larger is because I only want a shallow dome. I don't want it to be too obnoxious as far as that curve. I'm not after a half circle here. Now to show you guys what I'm using, I have a dapping set from Durston, and there is a video coming on that one pretty quick here. But what I'm going to do is I just kind of take my punches and I rest them inside of this. I don't want it to be too tight of a fit, but I also don't want it to be too loose. So you'll just take these and figure out, like this one, that's too tight, but here it's just right where I've got a little bit of movement around that. So that's what I'm doing. So in this case, I'm going to, again, place this down. This time, I want my pattern to face up. So I'm actually going to put my piece inside, and now I'm going to dap that with the padding on the top of it. Take this out and take a look. And that actually looks really good. It's just nice and shallow, and that's what we're after. So I would repeat that. Make sure you've got your pattern facing up. And again, we have a really good shallow cup on that. So I'm pretty happy with this. Next thing I'm going to do is we're going to solder our posts onto the little ones. So now that I've got everything domed and ready to go, I want to get my ear wires prepared. Now in this case, my ear wires, because we're doing post earrings, they definitely don't need to be 1.25 inches long. But by having them a little longer, they're easier to control while I'm doing my soldering. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and dip it into my flux. Then on my board here, I have a little piece of solder. So what I'm going to do is get both of these ready. So all I have to do is just pick one up and go to the next one. And I like to hang them off the board just a little bit so it's easy for me to get a hold of. Get my torch going.
pick up my piece, and I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to rest it kind of on this little piece of solder, and very gently, notice that I come in and out, and I want to just get that solder onto the bottom of that post. And there it is. So it's just only right there on the bottom. I'm not going to pickle this or quench it. I'm just going to leave it just like that. And I'm going to repeat for the same one, or the second one. And I don't want to hold the heat on here too long because I definitely don't want it to melt. I just need it for that solder to pick up onto there. So the next thing I need to do now is I need to bring in the little cups that I've made for the top portion of our ear wire. Now what's going to happen, and I have to be very careful because these are still extremely hot. And what I'm going to be doing is we're going to get them into position right here inside of the middle of our little cup that we've made. Or you can put it up to the top, however you want to do this. That's what you need to decide, is how to get that all ready and set up. So first thing I'm going to do is get these fluxed. In this case, I'm just using a little bit of Prips flux. I'm going to position it so that my little holes are straight down from me, and I'm going to not put the hole or the post in the middle of the earring, but rather I'm going to come up here to the top of that. Now, what I like to do is I have a friend who has made an awesome tool. Let me back up and show this to you. So my friend William Cobb has made this great tool, and it's called a will hold. Now the will hold, what it allows us to do, and in this case we have a tweezer holding one, that allows us to get things into position, and it will hold it there for us. So we don't have to do that part. So I'm just going to get everything into position here. We're almost there. Just need to move this over just a little bit. Make sure everything is aligned how you want it to be. And now what I'm going to do is solder this into place. Now again, this is very thin metal, and I'm also dealing with a very little wire. So I'm really not going to bring too much heat onto the piece itself. I'm going to work around it and let it absorb the heat from the block. So I don't know how well it shows up on the video, but hopefully you guys can see, and it just flowed right there. And I never even hit it with my torch. So now I'm going to take that, release it, and this one I will quench. Now at this point, my ear wire looks a little funny at an angle, and that's okay. We're going to adjust that in a little bit. But in the meantime, repeat your process for the second one. So now I have this one set up also. Now, things that you need to be very cautious of. One, we're working with a very thin wire. Two, not only is our metal thin, our disc is small, and at this point, it's also standing up a little bit. So that leaves us really prone to melting. Ask me how I know. So what I'm going to do is just very gently come in here again with this heat. I want to work around the piece. I'm not going to go in direct with it, but be very cautious and just watch for that solder to come down and flow onto the back of that ear wire. And there it has gone, so I'm going to get right out immediately, and we're ready to get that one quenched and pickled as well. So at this point you can see that these ear wires are kind of at an angle, which is a little awkward. All I'm going to do is just kind of pull that up and straighten it out just a little bit. It's not even a big issue at this point in time, and I'm not going to trim them yet either. So what I'm going to do is take these, put them into the pickle, then we can add our jump ring, add our other piece, and then we can polish those up, get our ear wires cut to size, and we're ready to go. Now that everything is back out of the pickle, everything looks good. I checked my solder seams to make sure that they were good. I need to harden this ear wire because it is sterling silver and we've heated it, so it has softened up. So what I'm going to do is just take my pliers and give a couple twists. It doesn't take much. And that's going to give it some strength right there. And we're going to do the same thing here. Now I think I may have neglected to tell you guys that the wire I've used for these ear wires is 20 gauge. So it's 20 gauge sterling silver. Doesn't really matter if it's half hard or whatever else, because when you heat that up, it's going to soften your wire anyway. So now the next thing we need to do is to cut our ear wires down. So I'm just taking a second here with the pliers just to kind of straighten those out a little bit more. And I want to trim these down to 11 millimeters. Now people have different sizes that they like for their ear wires. I happen to find 11 millimeters works generally pretty good, and that seems to be pretty comfortable for most people. So that's what I'm going to do for mine. So I'm just going to place this earring at the end of my ruler, come down to the 11 millimeter mark, and trim it away. And I will repeat with the next one. Down to that 11 millimeter mark. And now I have my post earrings. So one of the things that I like to do on this is to take a pair of round nose pliers just right here at the very end, maybe about 1 to 2 millimeters in. And I'm going to rotate this around and squeeze at the same time. And that's going to put a little tiny divot into that ear wire. And that helps that ear nut stay into place when you use those. So that's kind of what I'm after right there. So I will repeat that on the second ear wire. Again, come about 1 to 2 millimeters in, and I'm just using the round nose pliers, giving a gentle little squeeze as I roll this around, just to give us that little divot. Now the last step that I need to do is I need to take these jump rings and open them up a little bit, and we're going to thread on our different components. So one of the things that you need to keep in mind is how they are going to hang. So you want to make sure that you take a moment to look at the orientation of this, and worst case scenario, you just take it and you pull it apart and redo it. So now I'm going to close this ring back up. And there is one of our earrings. And of course, you're just going to repeat this for the second one. Now that this is done, what's left to do is to polish and get our ear nuts onto this. So for my polishing in this case, I'm just going to throw it into the tumbler and we'll be ready to go.
So as you guys can see, it was not that difficult. We got to use a disc cutter, a dapping set, the rolling mill. We even did a little bit of soldering. Now, when it comes to making the post earrings, for me, the best way to do this is just to be able to figure out a way to prop up that post that you're soldering into place. And then from there, the rest of it's pretty easy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, please make sure you leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that bell so that you get notifications when I have new videos coming out. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.